What's up everybody, PJ back again, here with another review. Today I'm going to be talking about the long-anticipated second full-length album from the band Hands of Despair. This was released on the 9th of this month, and it's out now via Deathbound Records. Hands of Despair is a band from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. They started out in around 2011 as a solo project of Maxime Cote, and at the time they were basically a progressive death metal band. Their first album, Hereafter, came out in 2011. I found them late 2011 through a blog where their music was posted, and I started listening to the album, really enjoyed it. It was very much progressive death metal in sort of the vein of Opeth, and the studio musicians on the record were really great. You had Lyle Cooper from The Faceless, you had the singer from Daylight Dies, as well as some other people from, I think, the band Eyeless, as well as the band Catavulcus, which Maxime has also done work with in the past. Now, in 2012, Hands of Despair went on hiatus, presumably so Maxime could focus more on Catavulcus, where he had become a full-time member, and that's a black metal band from Canada. They're really good. They're also on Deathbound Records. Check them out. But anyways, in 2014, Hands of Despair returned, this time not as a solo project with session musicians, but as a full-on band. And with that, they brought in more black metal elements, possibly due to some influence during Maxime's time with Catavulcus, but I can't be too sure. Now, the first track we got to hear off this album before it was released was the song Sleeper. Now, Sleeper really showcased the more black metal elements that the band had brought with them. You had those cutting, gritty, tremolo riffs that you'll hear in black metal, as well as some more ambient, atmospheric moments reminiscent of like Alcé and Agalloch, and all this was done without losing that progressive death metal feel that Hands of Despair sort of established for themselves on their first album. Now, the second track we got from this release was the song Veil, which comes right after Sleeper in the track listing, and it's very much stripped back in a lot of places, very atmospheric, reminds me of kind of Alcé once again, and it also has those grittier, harsher moments as well. The album is out now, and I've got to say, they did take a bit more of a turn into black metal, but there are still death metal elements very apparent in the sound. You have very death metal styled growls at certain parts, in addition to more black metal styled vocals, as well as some cleans. And the cleans are fairly well done. They're not as strong as you'd hear from like Alcé, but they're not weak, and they definitely do complement the music when they are used. As far as the guitars go, there's definitely some progressive riffing going on here. There's also some more black metal, tremolo, just jagged riffs going on in certain tracks, as well as some stripped back, more post-black metal inspired parts that add sort of a sense of atmosphere to a lot of the tracks on this album. There are also some interesting guitar leads sprinkled throughout the track list. As far as the bass goes, the bass lines are generally very interesting on this record. My personal favorite bass line has to be in the song Veil. I thought that was really well done. It definitely stands out in the more stripped back moments in that song, and it definitely shows that it earns its place in a progressive band like this. The drummer for Hands of Despair is also in the band Augury, and you may be familiar with his drum work there, and that might be some incentive to check this out as well. The drumming on this record in particular is done with a lot of finesse. There's a lot of subtlety to it, and it definitely adds to the more stripped back part, as well as the more ferocious black metal parts. Altogether, the drum performance is really well done, and I felt like it very much added to the overall feel of this record. As far as the keyboard parts on this album go, they're used when they need to be. They're not incredibly prominent in all of the tracks, but when they are used, they're used very well. You have some good use of more piano-sounding keyboards in the opening track, Reborn, as well as some more Opeth-influenced use of keys in the track Sleeper, which reminded me a lot of their usage on Opeth's Watershed album, the kind of just like more haunting, old school sounding progressive keyboards. And there are also some awesome keyboard moments on the final track Void, which is also the longest song on the record and contains some absolutely beautiful atmosphere, as well as this awesome clean outro that is very repetitive and switches up a little bit, but it just kind of makes you reflect on the album as a whole in this nice sort of clean, serene, ending to the album, and I felt like that was a really great way to end the record, and I feel as though this album as a whole is very strong. In general, I find that if you're into bands such as Agalloch, Neobliviscaris, Opeth, Alcé, and the like, you'll probably enjoy this album quite a bit. I know I did, and I definitely recommend it to you guys. In my opinion, this album's about an 8 out of 10 for me. It's a very strong effort from a band that we haven't heard from in many years, and I definitely really like the direction that they're going in, and I hope that they continue in this way in the future. Down in the description box, I'll leave you a link to the Deathbound Records Bandcamp page, where you guys can stream this album in its entirety. Let me know what you thought of it, and if you've already heard it, let me know as well. If you guys like this band, check out other bands on Deathbound. They're a very small label, but they've got some really quality stuff. Alright, that's it for this review. I'll see you guys later, and until next time, keep it metal.